Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Mullahs in Cyber. I'm Nikhil, and I have Krish with me here today to discuss more about cybersecurity and how it impacts our daily life.
Hi all, welcome back. If you have not yet subscribed and liked this channel, please go ahead and subscribe and like right now so that you get our weekly updates and all we have to talk about AI, cybersecurity, and of that nature. That brings me to the question, Nikhil. You mentioned about that email and the discussion you had with your family for that scam email they saw. Do you want to go in detail and talk to our viewers really what happened and make
Yeah,
them aware?
yeah. So it was an email that one of my family members got. Banks in India, they will send out regular warnings about banking scams, and something that came up in conversation with them was about an email that they had got pertaining to deepfakes. And then I asked them if they could forward it to me, and so could take a look at it.
Wow, let's take a look at that email together and see what this is about. And I agree, banks have started alerting all their customers. I still have my bank accounts in India because when I travel there, it's much easier for me to get things done there. And
Yeah,
also, I still have some aspects where I need Indian banks. So I do see those emails, but yeah, let's take a look at this email for the uh, better understanding and see how it helps the public and what we can discuss on this. Yeah.
sure, awesome. Yeah, so as we can see here, this email originated from a large bank in India, quite a popular one. And they are trying to build more security awareness within their customer base. In this email, they start off by, kind of giving a very simple, high level, overview of what deepfake attacks are. So in this document, you can see in the beginning, they kind of talk about how individuals can be convinced that family members or other people are trying to, or people that they know are trying to ask them for money requests or other information that can help them that can help attackers get into these customers' bank accounts.
Yeah, that's really interesting because this was one point that we discussed earlier in one of the calls, right? Where I had mentioned like how when I came to US, I had assigned somebody. So that's another level of protection that I employed. But educating them is also one real thing. So that's really good to see that the banks are taking that steps. Uh, Unfortunately, I've never seen any such emails come to me from any of those banks in that I work with in US. Nikhil, do you have anybody who has sent you an email, something like this, or is that still not there?
Like an attacker or someone who's giving me like
No, no, like
awareness
a
about.
knowledge share. So this is more of a knowledge
Not as
share,
much.
right?
Yeah, not as much. I think I think for some of the banks, like when we do wire transfers and things like that, they do kind of give you a little bit of literature to review to make sure that you're not like, especially Zelle and different payment methods like that, they'll have a pop-up and like warnings and like ask you to verify a couple additional pieces of detail to make sure that you know who you're sending your money to. But in general, like just like good operational security type of emails. I don't think I see many banks doing that here in the States.
So that's really a neat approach that the banks are doing, and I really appreciate that.
Mm.
Two reasons I can think about. There's a lot of changes happening in the banking sector within India. It's been in the last 10 years or so that I'm changing so much of a move towards banking and net banking and things of that nature. India used to be a very much cash based economy until a certain period. And then suddenly there was that huge shift of, it was all can be kind of tied around that demonetization that happened a little while back. But after that, there has been a lot of movement towards online banking and transfers and use of UPI method for making these purchases. And this is a really good effort from the bank. So that's really good. Uh,
Yeah.
Nikhil, let's go ahead and highlight some of those needed points that's there, and that's really good, not just for the Indian bank users, but also for our users across the world.
Yeah. So here we can see that they have kind of broken down different ways that you can protect yourself against deepfake scams. Five different things that they want you to like think about before you initiate any type of action that like someone is requesting, you to do something with your bank account, either providing details. The first one is to verify, make sure that that person is who they actually claim to be. Like with technology, like you mentioned, Krish, India has like kind of jumped forward as far as finances go from cash to like more mobile based because with the rapid growth of like cell phones and like cell connection. And in the same way, like these attacks are becoming much bigger and much more effective because of AI. We're seeing the ability to like pull large amounts of public data, like on social media and other platforms like that you know attackers can have an understanding of who you are close to, who you talk to a lot, and then have a lot of like pictures, information about those people to create these types of, these like fake calls or fake, different interactions to then convince you that, oh, this must be a legitimate request from someone who I know and someone who I care about. So the first one is talking about verifying. So like maybe you hang up the call and then you call that person back, or you do something else whereby you can validate that that person is who they are. And like most of the time, really, like you initiating that connection with the person who you know is usually the best way of doing that.
Yes, that's also very interesting. And, like social media is a very different level in India in some aspects, I believe. I mean, yes, we have Facebook, all those things in US, but one factor I feel is a little bit different is WhatsApp. WhatsApp is much, at least in US, when I talk to my American friends. I mean, not like you, American Nickel, mostly like the Americans here. They seldom have WhatsApp. I mean, I can see that the trend is changing. There are a lot more people using WhatsApp these days, but it's still not like what it is. One reason why I always wanted WhatsApp was because it's a free and easy method for me to talk back to India. I could message, I could, I mean, I started WhatsApp when there was no calling feature. It was just mostly a messaging, but at least I could send some messages. I could send audio recordings and things like that. Much easier communication was there. So it just got fast tracked in India. But now with so many updates, there is status updates, there is, you can tell what's happening. So and I don't know how many of them go through those security features and put it on and maybe off. So as long as you get that number, you can kind of get an understanding. Okay, I'm out of town. They go there and post their selfies. There's a status update. I'm in so and so place. So it gives them more information to the attacker, which can be interesting for these guys to scam people. So that's there. So that's something they have to be worried about. That's why taking a moment, cut the call them back, ensure that the person really is in trouble or wanting
Yeah,
that, and 80 to 95% of time you will notice that they were not. It's a scam call. So you are saying yourself.
yeah, yeah, definitely, yeah. The other suggestions are really about that, like, being very observant of like how these people are behaving as well. Like, not you're not just like validating from calling from your side, but you're also looking for like odd behavior in the way that they're, behaving in the video call, like odd gestures and stuff. Like AI still hasn't like, doesn't always get it 100% right as like how people move and how people's like facial reactions change. And like you as you know your friends and other people and other acquaintances and family members much better than that AI system will know, so you can kind of tell when they're behaving in ways that you've never seen them behave. So things like that, being observant, like see for any type of like weird video or audio cues, but like just having that like vigilance to make sure that if you're getting it from an odd number, if you're getting it like in a way that that person doesn't typically call you, you want to make sure that you're double checking and you're on a much more like alert, before you do anything that that person asks you to do. Yeah,
And one more thing I would definitely tell is at least for right now, is with these scams, they're going to ask you to send to some other number, or they're going to ask you to send them in some other way. So try not to do that. Try to send to the bank account you already know. If it's a close friend, for example, if I want to transfer to Nikhil, I already know his bank account.
yeah,
You don't have to give me that bank account again, or you don't have to give me that information again. Um, I can just send it to him. And in India, it's more of like a UPI, so you can just pay phone number to phone number or send to a QR code. And if it's your best friend or somebody you've transferred around, only those guys are going to come and ask you. I would rather ask somebody whom I know very well than ask somebody new. So in those cases, try to use the method that you've already used. Don't just trust the new number they give you, or the new QR code that they give you. So things like that. So just try to avoid in addition to looking for those cues.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So, like at the end of the email, we can see here that they have provided some, direction as to what you can do if you need help or if you want to report any type of like suspicious behavior. We're trying to like these banks are trying to create that understanding of like what you can do when you find odd things like that to help make banking more secure so that the right authorities can actually start to deal with that. And so with like looking into those specific into those different organizations, I came across some articles.
So, Nikhil, let's talk about that one article that was very interesting. That was from Malayalam Manorama, you saw. So, for viewers outside of India and outside of Kerala, Manorama is one of the leading newspapers in Kerala. They have a lot of distribution. This is, half of the people who still subscribe to the newspaper. I know that many of us has moved away from really getting a hand in newspaper every morning, but Manorama is still one of the leading publishers. They're into the media business, so they have a news outlet, they have this thing. So it's a very reputed article, we can, and so some of those figures they have given can be quoted um, throughout the country, because they do their leading up and their research before they leave out any information. So let's talk about that.
So in the article that you're referencing, they took an overview of different countries and ranked them using a World Cybercrime Index. India ranked number 10 with frauds involving people like trying to create advanced fee payments and other types of like small fees and other things like that. And so while there are a relatively small number of countries, they have the largest cyber criminal threat. And so in the article, they break down all these different countries that have it and kind of show what, like what kind of attacks are are more prevalent based on the type of threat actor.
I mean, that's also interesting fact that Nikhil we should incorporate. And I thought about this as we are reading. As um, if you look, we discussed how India recently came into the banking. I mean, like moved away from a cash-oriented financial economy to more of like net banking and things like that. But these cyber criminals, they are way ahead, because in the past, if you see. A lot of Indians were involved, or identified, especially for doing these IRS type of scams, calling these older people in US and other developed nations and doing it. So they are already one step ahead. They know the drill. Now it's repurposing it just from doing it to the other world where they're starting to get noticed, and try that same thing within the country and see how um, they can get their money on. Maybe yes, definitely talking to an American or a Canadian and getting $10 is much different than getting 10 rupees, but still these people are able to do the same thing in India and get the scams going. And I've been hearing about some of my friends getting scammed, and the biggest part is that they don't want to talk about it. They are not going to report this.
Right.
I spoke to a friend of mine, who is much younger, and he was really reluctant to talk about this. But somehow in the conversation I was him to him, he's like, as you know, we both are Malus. I just want to say, he was like, hey, Cheta, I don't want to tell to anybody, but I know you are in cybersecurity. Let me talk to you. And then he came and
Yeah.
spoke to me, and I told him, hey, do this and this. But he's like, but I don't want others to know I got scammed. I'm like, yes, that's actually helping the scammer. If you tell them that this is there, at least few other people won't get scammed. You lost
Right.
the money. I understand. It's. I'm so sorry for you. I understand it's bad, but at least let's stop this from happening to other people. So that's what I say. So if you really see this happening, go and report that. Nikhil, please highlight that website where you can report it so our viewers know where to report that. And please, guys, like, if you get scammed, I understand it's frustrating. I understand you feel ashamed that you got scammed, but go report. The government is working on it. Let's support the government. Let's stop these scammers from scamming somebody else. Let's
Yeah.
make India secure. Let's make world secure.
Yeah, and I think especially considering like shame is such a big part of like how this gets kind of swept away, and then that gives a bit more anonymity to scammers. And it's a big deal that then the banks directly are trying to reach their customers and be like, hey, we're seeing this, we see these issues with a lot of our clientele. Like, we want to make you guys more secure just operationally by having this information show up in your inbox to keep you vigilant. These are all really good next steps. And as security continues to evolve, to adapt to these types of issues, like socializing people on how to be secure is going to be a cornerstone for that. Yeah.
So, guys, that's for this video. But please like, share, and subscribe this channel, and we'll be back to you with a new episode on AI, cybersecurity, and more. Thank you, Nikhil.
Thank you all. See you later.